All right, today is day 2 of The Little Mermaid, and you should have read Roberta Trite's article last night and annotated it and then given some response on Google Classroom. So this article is very fascinating to me. Hopefully you guys have already taken a few moments to discuss, but I'm going to offer you some of my thoughts. I've read this article numerous times. Each time I read it, I have a different response. My response this time around is I'm very defensive because I love this movie. The Little Mermaid was my favorite Disney movie growing up. She was my favorite princess. And so to see it being torn to shreds in this article is a little hard to handle, but I do think it brings up some new insights. So looking at my document, some of my favorite things that I do like and I do actually appreciate. I got a lot of Foster vibes, and I do think that this is true in a lot of children's literature. I do think that a lot of children's literature is quest-oriented literature. So towards the second paragraph here, thus Anderson's Mermaid's quest for a soul versus a quest for a mate. So, I mean, this is a little harsh, but I do agree that no matter what you do, when you look at children's lit, it tends to be a quest story. And I do like at the end of the article, it talked about that the problem of conflict that a character must overcome is part of the, fairy tale / like children's lit model. Like the character has to grow up. And I do think Ariel does grow up, sort of. Not as well in the movie as she does in the short story, but I think that even happens in Jumanji. It's a quest. And also, the other thing I really liked was this idea of rebellion. So it says that rebellion is part of Ariel's situation. She rebels against her father. This is a reoccurring tendency in Disney movies. I would agree with that. Every single Disney movie I've seen, the father-child relationships of those movies tend to be off. Either a parent has passed away or the child is fighting the parent. But I don't think that's just a Disney thing. I think that's a kid thing. Like, that's just a common thing. I mean, even in Kite Runner, you have this tension between father and son. Jumanji had the same thing. And I think that's kind of a cool concept to look at the idea of rebellion. Is it just in coming-of-age stories? Is it popular in other children's lit? Or is it just kind of a pattern that's happened in our class because of the literature we've read? Looking into some of the harsher critiques of this, they equate Ariel as materialistic, and they equate the entire journey of her, like, her quest is about getting married. And it is, unfortunately, I don't like that argument, but I can see, and I do think that this article does bring up some valid points. But in the same respect, the institution of marriage has always been equated to love. So I don't know if that's a criticism of Disney or just society in general. And I do think people are challenging that in certain movies. We did talk about this in class. I talked about the newest movie, Isn't It Romantic, and how she determines that she just needs to love herself. Or in Disney's Frozen, it's about sisterly love than it is about romantic love. So I think society is changing its views. It's just, unfortunately, this movie demonstrates it because it was from the 80s, and it was kind of the popular form of marriage and love identity. The last thing I really enjoyed from the article was Satan, the discussion of Ursula. I already told you Ursula is my favorite villain of all the movies, but I really like where they talk about how she is kind of like a Satan figure, and she's jealous of King Triton, and I thought that was kind of cool. It could kind of be another foster theory, excuse me. And then it is kind of interesting that the villains change, like the shape, size, personality of the villains changed, and that was very curious to me as well. So there's a lot of curious things in this article. Some things I liked, some things I didn't, but definitely an interesting piece of discussion, food for thought. So today, you're going to finish the film. Please think about what you need to do or work on tomorrow. Tomorrow is a full-fledged workshop day, and so will Monday be. Continue the film. Keep thinking about the Roberta Trite article, and if you agree with some of the things she said or disagree. And then finally, what do you think of the movie? You'll finish it today, and you will turn in your film notes into the basket. Actually, no, I lied. You will be showing me your film notes when I get back, but keep them so you can use them for the presentation. All right, have a happy Tuesday.